And now we're going to make our Golden Morocco Bowl. So we're going to use our food processor again, straight in with the same one, I'm not even going to clean it. And we are going to blend up our cauliflower. Now this recipe actually makes a ginormous batch. So I actually think I might just do a half batch because it will overflow in this, like it makes basically 2 of these bowls. So I'm going to make a half batch of this, just so that we can make sure we fit it in. So first of all, we're going to start with a cauliflower. Now, most people throw away all those beautiful leaves on the outside. I use them, so what you can do is you can roast them in the oven. I do actually usually drizzle them with a little bit of olive oil and some salt and roast them up, and they turn into kind of like kale chips. Or you can just finely slice them up and put them into any of the dishes that we had tonight. But you know, there's no point, especially if you're buying an organic cauliflower, there's no point throwing away all those leaves. You know, they've got nutrients in them just like the inside. Cut our cauliflower into just some rough pieces before we put it into the food processor. Okay. Again, any food processor will do this. I love this salad because it's mostly raw, so you get this beautiful combination of raw food, which is really great for us because we retain all of the antioxidants of the foods. So now I'm going to put in the recipe, normally I would do 4 carrots. So I'm just going to do 2 in there. So normally 1 red onion. We're going to put in half a red onion. It's my doggy bag. Just going to roughly chop this. And then we're going to add in half a cup of parsley. So about that. I'm going to go half a cup of mint, fresh mint. This actually grows so easily in your garden, so I forgot to get this. Picked this at home and I was a little bit gutted they had to buy this from the supermarket because our mint plant is just overflowing. But that's right. I'll plant this guy back in the ground so he'll keep giving. Okay, so that's all that in there. And then we're just going to blend that up to like a couscous. Don't want to blend this too much because we don't want it to turn it into a puree. Honestly, I think that's perfect. So you can see why I love my blender. It's just so quick. It's like 20 seconds. So that's the base. So it's like a couscous. So let's give this a go. So yummy. Okay, so that's going in there. Okay, that's our base. We're going to add, so these are some organic sultanas. Measuring cup. So about half a cup of these. These are going to add like these beautiful pops of sweetness to our salad. And then we're going to add a cup of hazelnuts, but I'd run out of hazelnuts, so I've got roast almonds instead. Again, these will be brilliant. Normally I do it with hazelnuts. So half a cup of these, and we're just going to roughly chop them. We're just going to roughly chop our, so roasted almonds or roasted, I usually use roasted hazelnuts. To roast your nuts just in a baking tray at 150 to 170, fan bake or regular bake, popping everywhere, for 5 to 8 minutes is enough. I don't want them completely obliterated. And then we're going to have these beautiful little pops of chewy sweetness with the sultanas, and then we're going to have these beautiful little crunchy pops of nuttiness. And then now we're going to make our dressing. So I'm just going to make it back in here. I've got some cashew in there, but that's absolutely fine. So we are going to make a dressing using tahini. Tahini is sesame seeds, the highest source of calcium known to man on the planet, way higher than any dairy. So sesame seeds, or specifically tahini, which is ground sesame seeds, means you're going to access and absorb this calcium. Most of the time when we eat sesame seeds, we just kind of swallow them whole, and we don't pull out so much of the calcium. So tahini is really amazing for that. Okay, so I'm putting about 1/4 cup of tahini. There's 2 types of tahini you can get: hulled, which has had the outer hull removed, or unhulled. Unhulled is more bitter. It has more calcium though, because a lot of the calcium is in the hull. Slightly more difficult to absorb though. Hulled, less bitter, sweeter, a little bit less calcium, but generally tastier, because it's not as bitter. So if you're new to tahini, I would go for the hulled version. That would be my recommendation. Okay, now we're going to put in our lemon juice, 1/4 cup of lemon juice. So I'm just going to guesstimate this. And a tip with your lemons is, if you want to get all the juice out of your lemons, is give them a really good roll before you juice them, before you cut them open. So, you know, these ones I actually picked off the tree, they hadn't fallen off yet. So, you know, they possibly could have gone another week, but it's okay. So we're just gonna, if you've got a juicer, lemon juicer, you can use that. I'm just using my hands to catch any of the pips. And I've got one more. Okay, and then the next ingredients that we're going to add is either basically to thin out the dressing, because the tahini is really thick. So you can either use water and a little bit of olive oil, or you can use water and a little bit of chickpea brine, or chickpea water, the water that comes in a can of chickpeas, or you could cook chickpeas yourself and save the cooking water. You can freeze it, and it acts as like a thickener. You can also whip it up like egg whites and create, just like egg whites, whip up to create like a meringue. You can use the water from your chickpeas to do the same. It's called aquafaba, so water of the bean. You just want to get unsalted chickpeas, because otherwise your chickpea water is going to be really salty. So we are going to go 1/4 cup of our brine and 1/4 cup of water, or you know what, we could do a full 1/2 cup of the brine if we wanted to. Just make it extra thick, and we'll use all of this. You know? Perfect. Okay, and so now we're going to go in with our spices. Remember I said spices, amazing source of antioxidants. Going to go with our turmeric first. So 1/2 tablespoon of turmeric. I'm just going to use all of that. It's pretty much about 1/2 tablespoon. Next we're going to go in with our cumin. This is ground organic cumin. As I said, you really can't go wrong with your spices, so if you add a little bit more, don't be worried. You can add caraway to this if you've got it. I'm adding in coriander now. And then a little bit of chili. This doesn't make it super spicy, it gives it like a little bit of a bite to it. Just make sure I don't, the other ones I'm a bit sort of laissez-faire with, but this one I need to make sure I don't kill you. Too much chili. It's nice when it's just a little bite. And then last but not least, a little bit of sea salt. So again, you know, for a humongous bowl of vegetables, and we're using what, 3/4 teaspoon of salt. You know, there'd be more salt in one pack of chips or one processed sort of cookie or muesli bar. There's so much salt added to processed foods. So we've got our tahini, our lemon juice, our chickpea water, turmeric, coriander, cumin, chili, and salt. That's it.
So you don't worry about putting pepper in to activate the turmeric?
Technically, if you want to activate turmeric, you need it to heat it and you need to add fat. So we're doing neither here. So technically, you would add turmeric to a curry, you would heat it, and you would add some coconut or cream or coconut milk to fully activate it. But honestly, in the scheme of things, you're still getting an amazing array of benefits from having it like that. But yeah, when you look at the cultures that have turmeric, like sort of Indian cultures, that's how they do it, right? Okay. That's that. And then we've got this beautiful turmeric dressing. Now you can see, because I've used the chickpea water, it's slightly thinner than what it would be if you used the olive oil, so that would make it thicker. But this is still going to be delicious. I need another. This one has not been in my mouth yet. I'm slowly working through them and then going over into this red pepper. But, I mean, it's delicious, you know? And it's got the richness from the tahini anyway. So you don't need, and we've got richness from the...
So the tahini's a fat.
Yeah.
And you've got the
and the almonds.
turmeric,
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. So I have added a fat.
But you just haven't heated it.
We haven't heated it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You can actually just have it as is if you wanted to. But I always like to balance my recipes so that it has a good source of protein in it as well. You don't, again, there's a section at the front of my book that talks about protein, how much you actually need. Most people are way sort of obsessed with protein when they should be obsessed with fibre and worry about it way too much. But I still have included a section in there on, it is a nutrient that we do need, where to get it from. So that's our dressing in there. Yeah, so this has got an amazing source of, amazing veg. This is basically a bowl of veggies. So that's why I say it's a salad, but we've got no leafy greens, which is kind of fun. We've got complex some carbohydrates in there from the sultanas. This is actually quite a low carb recipe in the scheme of things. We are getting a pop of carbohydrates from the sultanas and the carrots. That outside of this is quite a low carb recipe. So this is, I use a lot of this type of recipe, so slightly lower in carbohydrate, lower in energy density, just in general, for a lot of my weight loss clients. And, if you want to flesh this out, you would just have this with some brown rice on the side, or some roast potatoes on the side, or some kumara, or some quinoa on the side. Healthy fats from the almonds or hazelnuts and the tahini, and we're getting some protein from the almonds as well. But I am going to add some smoky chickpeas. So this is our smoky chickpeas. So we've got our drained organic chickpeas in there, our smoked paprika, got one more unlicked smoke. So again, antioxidants, bam. Some lemon zest, and I normally add a tiny bit of olive oil if I'm pan frying it, but if you're using a pan that you can fry without oil, then you don't need to add that. That's purely because I use a cast iron pan, so I'd need a little bit for stuff not to stick. And some salt. And then the zest of 2 lemons. Okay. Hopefully you can see that both recipes, really you could make each one in 15 minutes. Very, very easy recipes to make. The zest is going to be chunky. I'm just saying them right now. That's fine. No? We've got our chickpeas with our smoked paprika, salt, and some lemon zest. And again, can you kind of see that if I then pan fried those or roasted them, you get these kind of crunchy little chickpea pops. But we will just heat those ever so slightly, maybe 40 seconds. And then, so all I'm going to do to present that salad is I'm going to pour the chickpeas on the top, and then I'm going to top it with a little bit of extra of the almonds that I reserved, and a little bit of chopped herbs. As I said, I just love having a little bit of chopped herbs on the top of everything. Just kind of makes things look bright and fresh. So a little bit of our chopped parsley, and just a little bit of chopped. So, I mean, honestly, so delicious, adds so much flavour. Hot protein-rich chickpeas on the top. What I'm passionate about is encouraging people to eat more plants. More plants. So there's our salad. If you've got family and friends that aren't plant-based, give them a copy of my book.